Gematria, what is it? No, it's not a new kind of pizza. It's a Hebrew word for the use of symbolic numbers. One of the things you learn when you study not only biblical prophecy, but you study early Judaism, is Jews were fascinated with symbolic numbers. And there were a variety of numbers that were symbolic numbers. The number 3, the number 7 was the number of perfection, the number 10, the number 12, multiples of 12, like 144,000. Gematria is not only the use of symbolic numbers, but it's when you are actually assigning a numerical value to letters of the Hebrew or the Greek alphabet, okay? So let's deal with that famous number 666 in the book of Revelation, though we have some variant texts that have it as 616. I'll explain that in a minute. The way that Gematria works is that you've assigned a numerical value to each of the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, okay? And so let's take a name like the name David. You would add up the numerical value of D and then of the equivalent of the letter V and then again of D, and that would be the number of David. The name David would have a certain numerical value based on the numbers you've assigned to the alphabet. Well, that's what we're actually dealing with when we're dealing with 666. And here's the most interesting part. There were plenty of coins minted by the Roman emperor in the 1st century AD that had the following inscription, which said things like Nero Caesar Divi Filii Augusti. And what that means is Nero Caesar, the son of the Divine Augustus. Now, if you were to add up the numerical value of that particular inscription in Latin, you would come up with the number 666. So who's Mr. 666? Well, according to the author of Revelation, he's a Nero-like figure, whether it's Nero in particular or he's just the symbol for the persecutor of Christians, the antichrist figure who persecutes Christians or not. But here's the other interesting bit. The other inscription you might have in the eastern part of the empire would read Nero Caesar Divi Filii Augusti. In other words, there would be the letter, what we would call the letter N, that's not there. Well, if you add up the numerical value of that, that's 616. Okay, that's where the textual variants come from the eastern end of the empire. So either way, whether it's 666 or 616, the numerical value of this adds up to a name, and the name it adds up to is the name of Nero, the emperor of the Roman Empire in the 60s, who was the first famous persecutor of the church. When Christians thought of an anti-Christian figure, they thought of Nero. Of course they did. And some of them, when Domitian at the end of the 1st century AD started doing the same thing, they thought, oh, it's Nero back from the dead. Here's Antichrist Part 2, the sequel. What we're being told is that this is a world ruler who is systematically persecuting, prosecuting, and executing Christians, and that is a very bad thing. Now, the author of Revelation, John of Patmos, believes that human history in the future is not going to be rather different from human history in his own day. He believes that probably human history is going to culminate with a really wicked ruler who looks a lot like Nero in his behavior towards Christians. This is a description of the character of the person. It's not naming the actual human name of the person. It's describing the character of that final wicked ruler of the world and saying, you better watch out because he's coming, Christians. You need to be prepared to be persecuted. One of the things about the book of Revelation that makes it so actually incompatible with the dispensational interpretation of all this is that the author of Revelation is going to say to us, be prepared to go through the tribulation. Be prepared to be persecuted and even executed. Revelation is the book of the martyrs. It even uses the Greek verb nikao, which means to conquer or to overcome, to refer to being faithful unto death and into death to the faith of Jesus Christ. It's the book of the martyrs. So, Mr. 666, one more time. Who is he? He's a world ruler that's bad to the bone, wicked through and through, and looks a lot like the behavior of Nero or the character of Nero. And what we know about him is he's going down for the count once and for all when the rider on the white horse, Jesus, comes back.